All right, fabulous. Noontime to UPS Toastmasters Club and to everyone who is attending today's meeting. So I am honored and have the privilege to be here today to share with you on this topic, how to inject humor into speech. So this is a very tough topic. When Louis approached me whether I want to give this workshop or not, I kind of like, no, it's so scary because I myself is not a naturally humorous person. You know, humor is an interesting element where we know it's important, but when to come to application, when we want to really put humor into our speech, it doesn't come naturally because all of us are not stand-up comedian, are not actor and actress in nature, then we can't really anyhow or naturally put humor into our speech. However, along the journey in my Toastmasters experience, I realized that in fact it can be trained and we can have ways and methods to put humor into our speech. So today, hopefully through my 30 minutes sharing can give you some ideas how you can make your speech be a little bit more humorous or add some funny parts that can put a smile on your audience's face. All right, so before we get started, can I ask this question? Why is humor powerful? So can all of you just type in some of your answers in the group, in the chat, so that I can see what's in your mind when it comes to humor. So why do we think humor is powerful? Attract attention, get attention, help memory retention. Wow, Chloe, good one. Or break the silence. All right. Vivek. So anyone else? Connects better. Devashis, yes. Have to connect with people. It's connection. Create a relaxed environment. All right. So any other answers? Be famous. Wow, you're right. So talking about be famous, you know, last year during lockdown, yes, entertains. During lockdown, we see a lot of superstar on YouTube. So one of them is Uncle Roger. You know, is famous, and basically everybody on YouTube kind of know about this guy, right? So within I think 1 or 2 months, within a few videos, he managed to get millions of subscribers by his wittiness and humor. All right, so be famous is definitely one of the power of being humorous. All right, thanks everyone for your sharing. As indeed, humor can be powerful, can use in many ways, and since being humorous is so beneficial, so why don't we put humor into our speech or presentation to help us to bring our speech or presentation to another level? So allow me to share with you the 3 big why we need humor. Firstly is to rouse. So like what some of you have shared, it is to get attention and make your speech interesting. So sometimes when we look at some speeches in Toastmasters, we tend to fall into a trap, which is we tend to just deliver whatever we want in a very point form, and we're just telling facts. So when we come to this type of presentation, the audience may just switch off when they're listening to a lot of facts, overwhelming data, and overwhelming words. It's not interesting. So that's why they switch off. So imagine if you can be humorous in some part of your speeches. I'm not telling you to give humorous speeches all the time. You can give serious topics and insightful or informative speeches. However, you can also twist a little bit of your words or your structure and your sentences so that you can have humor in your presentation and delivery. So when the audiences listen to you and find it, oh, wow, this person or this presenter is kind of humorous, and I enjoy listening to this humors and jokes and funny points that the person is bringing up, then I will pay more attention. We are, in this time, the fast-paced environment nowadays, we get distracted easily, especially on Zoom. If the person is not funny, come on. maybe the person, we are not listening, or if the person is not interesting, then we don't even pay attention. So humor can be a tool to rouse, to get attention, and to keep our delivery interesting. So that's number one point why we think humor is important in a speech, right? The second R is relax. So I remember there's an answer mentioning relaxed environment. So relax, not only when we laugh, we relax. So that's why we enjoy all those comedy shows, funny shows, or funny video clips to make us laugh, and we feel relaxed after a long day. All right. So not only on that particular area, one relaxing part, or what part of the relax point is you can actually lower down the barrier between you and your audience. So imagine if you are witty, your funny joke can really put across to your audience. When the audience receive it, and when you think, okay, this person is interesting and funny, so the barrier between you, between the audience and presenter will be lowered down. So by then, whatever message or points you want to put onto the table is easily received. It can be easily received by the audience. So you can see this not only to relax their mental state, in terms of mental state, relax their muscles, they also kind of lower down the barrier between you and the audience. So that is a very powerful thing. That's why we also tell story, right? Story also build a bridge between the speaker and audience. And if we inject humor into our speech, that can also serve for this function, to build a connection between the audience and the speaker. All right, that's second R. Then the third R is remember. Okay, so if you imagine, if you look at all those world champions speeches, you realize that most of them are as a master of using humor. They skillfully inject humor into their speeches, make people laugh, and then at the end of the day, not only the audience will take away the message from that speaker, they will also remember the speech. So humor, when you put it in the right place, people will laugh, people enjoy, and people will remember. So that is why we need humor, if possible, whatever way, whatever styles you have, try to put in some humor into your speech and presentation that will serve hit these three main purposes and help you to achieve to another level, not only just delivering, but you can make people laugh and enjoy your speech. All right. So I'm done talking about the big why. Since this is a training about humorous, I'm going to show you one speech to make you laugh and make you enjoy. And then we will study together how we can learn from this speaker. All right. So I've won humorous speech contest in division level last month, and I'm going to show you this speech, but not mine. All right. So this will be a speech from 2007, if not mistaken, in KL. It's a Toastmaster in KL. So this lady is an amazing speaker, and let's observe how she uses her humor in the whole speech. So this is a humorous speech contest. So let's learn and pick up some points along the way, and we will discuss a little bit later on. All right. So I shall play.
Our fifth contestant, Marianna Pascal. Local English or Standard English? Local English or Standard English? Marianna Pascal.
Well, many years ago, my daughter, who is half Chinese, attended a local kindergarten in Johor Bahru. And I remember one day I went to pick her up, and she came running up to me, and she said, "Mommy, what's this?" I said, "I don't know, ask your teacher." She turned and she said, "Teacher, this what, ah?" I said, "What did you say?" She said, "Oh, Mommy, that's Malaysian English." My fellow Toastmasters, we hear a lot these days about local varieties of English. Should we embrace them as a part of the culture? Or should we eliminate them and replace them with standard English? What do you think? Embrace or replace? Yes, I love the local English here. It is the most colorful English in the world. I especially love your crazy two-word phrases. Where, got. Also can. See first. See how. It's so unique. And frankly speaking, I do not think that it is possible to eliminate local English because linguistic habits are very difficult to break. Am I right? Yes. Now, throughout my entire marriage, my Chinese husband has been saying, get down from the car. And I've been saying, honey, we're not on the car, so we can't get down. We're in the car, we get out. And he says, oh, okay, get down. Can't change. In fact, I was in a taxi the other day, and the taxi driver said to me, okay, miss, you get down here, huh? I said, no. You get out here. He said, it's my taxi, you get out. I think the important thing is that whatever English we speak, Malaysian English, Canadian English, Indonesian English, Bruneian English, that these days we be understood by people from other cultures. Am I right? Yes. I have to tell you, sometimes your local English is a little bit difficult for foreigners to understand. I will give you an example. Now, when I first came to Malaysia, I went to a teachers' conference in KL. And at the end of the day, I said to a local teacher, I said, excuse me, I'd like to go back to the hotel now. Do you know where I might find a taxi? And she said, never mind. You follow me. I said, well, I don't have a car, so I can't follow you. Do you know where I can find a taxi? She said, never mind, you follow me. I said to my friend, she wants me to follow her. Should I run behind her car? You see, it would have been helpful if she had used a more standard phrase like, I'll give you a ride. I'll give you another example of how local English can be very difficult for foreigners. Now, my British friend Jolene came to Malaysia to work in a restaurant. And on her very first day, the manager asked her to make fruit juice. So he gave her some fruit, and he gave her a blender. And he said, you put in fruit after you switch on. Excuse me, I'm putting the fruit after I switch it on. He said, you put in fruit after you switch on. So she switched it on, put in the fruit. What happened? All the fruit came out. He said, I told you, you put in fruit after you switch on. See, she had heard this, right? It would have been a little clearer if he had said, put in the fruit. After that, you switch it on. You see, sometimes one single word can change the whole meaning, right? I remember when my husband and I were first falling in love. I remember this one evening that was so romantic. Now, my husband's English was not very good at that time. And this was the night he was going to propose. We were dancing. It was so romantic. We just looked at each other. And he said in the most gentle voice, all your eyes are big. How many eyes do I have? I felt like an alien. It was not romantic. There was no proposal that night. Now, sometimes one single letter can change the entire meaning of what you're trying to say, right? My 17-year-old student, Chai Shen, had just come back from England. And she said to me, teacher, in England, many people very stupid. I said, what do you mean? She said, I fly to London. My skin very dry. My eyes very itchy. I go to information, I say, excuse me, where can I find ice cream? He sent me to McDonald's, very stupid. So where does this leave us with local English? Well, this is what I say. Yes, we need standard English because we must be able to communicate with people from other cultures. But what a terrible shame it would be to lose the beautiful, colorful, vibrant local English. So I say both also can, love. Back to you.
How do you guys find it? Do you love this speech? So this is my first Toastmaster speech I've ever seen. I've seen the first speech, and I love this lady called Marianna. Marianna's presentation on local English. Back then is in KL, so it was Malaysia English. It's kind of similar to Singaporean English, isn't it? So we can relate even though we live in Singapore. All right. So I thoroughly enjoy this video and her speech. Every time I watch, I laugh, even though I know exactly what she's going to, right? So can you type in the chat, share with me which part that really captured your attention and you enjoy the most? Which part of her speech? There are many jokes around, right? So which part that you enjoy the most? The gestures, okay, Yang. Her gestures, body language, action matching what she was saying. Okay, all the punch lines, Niza, right? There are a lot of punch lines, real life examples. Good one. Stories, so all the anecdotes that she was sharing, mini stories along the way. And the timing, right? So humor, the timing is very important, right? So the timing. So who else? Or which part do you like it? Interaction with audience, yes. So you see how she managed to use the audience to complement her presentation. With the interaction, he catch the ball from the audience, pass it back and catch it back. So that's the power of a skillful speaker. All right, so I believe there are a lot of nuggets along the way, and I hope that you have a good laugh while watching this video. There are many things that we can learn from her. But today, due to the time constraint, we are not going to go through all the humor techniques that we can use in a speech. I will just narrow down to three tips for you. Three techniques, I will say. Three techniques that you can easily apply in your speech in the next time, in your next meeting as well. All right. The first technique I will say is comical. So this comical means that it's amusing, especially in a ludicrous or absurd way. Okay, comical means when you read comic, it means that it's some very animated. Yeah, but it doesn't only limit to body language. It also applies to the words that you use. So right, so to make people laugh in a when you react and behave in a funny way, then you are comical. So for my speeches along the journey, I've been using a lot of comical elements in my speeches. So this is one of my strengths, but because I always use this comical, I have a lot of space for improvement, meaning to say I can apply other techniques, right? So but here we want to focus on comical. So how can you put in comical in your speech? It can be as easy as using some body language and your facial expression. So sometimes you always say, let's take a funny shot, then you do. Right? So this simple facial expression can also help you to be comical. And some actions of you to make people laugh. So that's as simple as that. So imagine next time when you try to apply comical in your speech, you can not only emphasize on how you phrase the words, you can also get an opportunity or create an opportunity for yourself to be comical. All right. And I think comical is even more powerful when it comes to Zoom meeting. All right. in front of, in the physical meeting, perhaps you are standing slightly further away from the audience. Not everybody can see your gesture and your facial expression clearly. But on Zoom, imagine I can move as close as possible to do funny action, and you can see everything on my face through the camera. So this is the power of using Zoom and the advantage of using Zoom to deliver your speech. Okay, so some examples you can see, like, teacher, this, what is this? Right, her daughter. And put fruit after you switch on. So you remember her big gestures and her interaction and her facial expression, even though the video was quite kind of blurry because it was like 14 years ago, but you can also see the gestures that she used to compliment her jokes or her stories. All right, so comical is very easy to apply. I think this is a beginner level. So in your next speech, why don't you, when you craft your speech, create an opportunity for you to be comical with your facial expression, with your action, right? Your body language. So use it lively to enlighten the mood of your whole speech or cheer the audience up. All right, that's the first technique that we have learned from Marianna, and we can apply in our speech. The next one is exaggeration. Exaggeration. So when things are really overstated and magnified, they become absurd and unreasonably funny. So I guess you must have encountered some people, they are so exaggerated in nature. Whenever they describe things, size, and appetite, they will go all out to exaggerate it, and you find it funny. Okay? For example, in courtship, maybe girlfriend will ask, do you love me? And the guy will reply, I love you. I will, to an extent that I will put up the underwear outside so that I can fly to the sky and pick the star for you. Then the girlfriend can reply, can you do it now? The guy respond, let's sleep. Why? So that we can have this in our dream. Right? So sometimes you exaggerate some simple statement, you can make it funny. All right? So what you can do next time when you look at your script, identify some lines that you can exaggerate. Okay? Use your imagination. Don't limit yourself with logics. Try to break it and try to twist it around so that it sounds funny. Okay? So Marianna also mentioned, like, that's the most colorful language in the world. So exaggerate that Malaysia English to become the most colorful language in the world. Okay, so what you need to do is just look at the script, think of and create opportunity for you to exaggerate certain things. So just don't simply describe things like huge, gigantic, tiny. You can use a lot of rhetorical devices to exaggerate the things that you are describing. Okay, the more imaginative, the more funny it can get. Right, go toward the funny side. That will help you to create a little bit of humor in your speech. Okay, the last technique I would like to emphasize or highlight today is this: twist or surprise. Okay, so I believe some of you also noticed that Marianna shared many stories. She shares some short stories, she shares some long story, but you notice that she was building up. You know, as a skillful, humorous person, they always build up things first before they give you a surprise or twist, right? That is to beat your expectation. We love to assume things when we also want to foresee the ending or the result of certain action. So when we speak, we will kind of guess this person, where the person is going to. When it will become to a surprise or create some humor element when the person suddenly twists and turn and give you a big surprise. Unexpected. So that when the expectation was beaten, that's where you can create humor. There are many stories in Marianna's speech. They created, there are many twists inside that we can learn. For example, get down, get out. right? When she was explaining this, I thought, okay, it's funny. But at the end, say, okay, get down from the husband, right? Even more funnier is the one taxi driver. It's my taxi, you get out. So that twist and surprise, something that we didn't really foresee, and she said it, it creates a big, impactful, humorous statement. All right, like all your eyes are beautiful. Kind of didn't expect these words to come out from her husband, right? And ice cream. Then she followed with McDonald's. All right. So this twist and surprise is, I think, is a very high-end technique. That's something that you can think about. All right. So you can build up your little joke or your story, your funny story, with some context and some pre-framing. Later on, when you hit the point with the right timing, you reveal the surprise, you reveal the twist. That's when people find it funny, when the expectation is beaten. All right. So this is a powerful technique that I hope that you can apply in your speeches. Okay. So this concludes the 3 techniques that I want to share today. However, there are many funny things around the world or funny techniques that you can use or to make you funny, to make you sound funny, right? There are many techniques. However, I think that it's important for us to have 3 attitudes when we come to injecting humor in our speeches. Sometimes it's not really about technique, it's about what you have in your mind. So there are 3 attitudes I would like to share with you today. In order for you or for all of us to inject humor into our speeches, I think the first thing is we need to try. All right. Sometimes, we are underestimating ourselves. We think that we are not funny. We shouldn't try. We shouldn't even attempt to inject humor. So that is something that I would like to discourage, this kind of thinking. Why don't you give a try to inject humor, to put humor and include humor in your speech? If you don't try, if you didn't even take the first step, you will not be there. If you're interested to rouse your audience, to connect with your audience and make audience remember your speech, you should try to use the element of humor in your speech. Remember, victory is in the try by the world champion of last year, right? So you need to try. That's the first thing you need to do. Second is you need to be intentional. Meaning to say, when you craft your speech, you want to be intentional of using humor. So humor is a tool. Of course, it's not a must in every speech, but it can be a tool for you to use in your speech. You need to be intentional, right? Intentional to create opportunities for you to use the techniques to be funny, right? To put in humor. All right. The last part is be humorous in daily life. So this is a tip from my mentor, who is our district director, Kim. So he said that you need to be humorous in daily life in order for you to have humor in your speech. Sometimes it doesn't come natural, I will say. That's why you need to try. You need to be intentional, and you need to be intentionally humorous in your daily life. And a good example I want to share with you, since Devashis is in this meeting today, he also mentioned to me he has struggled problems with being humorous when he started his Toastmaster journey. But look at him today. He can be humorous as he can in his speeches. So that is a live testimony that I want to share with everyone. When you want to try, when you can be intentional and you want to be humorous in your speech, you can definitely do that. All right, I want to leave these 3 attitudes for you to think about and 3 techniques for you to apply in your next speeches. All right.